viewers, it's often said that there is a time for everything. A time to live and a time to die. Also, a time to be born and a time to grow. It's one thing to give birth to children and yet another to raise them. Every stage of a child's life counts. As a parent, you sometimes get overwhelmed by the way they grow, especially the children nowadays. Sometimes we say they're like agri fowls, where they look like overfed children. They just grow and grow and grow. There is this anxiety in parents. When the children are small, you can at least caution them, you can follow them up and all of that. But when they start getting to this teen age, there is this fear, innate fear that grips some parents. If you have a girl child, you're just scared. Oh, this child, she's already developing so fast. And if you have a boy child, you're also scared. You don't know what this child will become. And you want to know, how can I handle this? You're in the right place. Because today, on Shantia's Haven, we have a wonderful family we are visiting. We have a mother we want to talk to. So let's go and hear what she has to tell us concerning adolescence. Hello viewers, you're once more welcome to your favorite show, Shantia's Haven. On Shantia's Haven, we talk about the family, everything that has to do with the family. And today we have a wonderful and beautiful guest. As you can see, we have Bernice with us on Shantia's Haven. She has a wonderful experience with children, and today we're going to be talking about adolescents. You know, having children as a parent, if you're not ready, many things will take you by surprise. So, Bernice, you're welcome to Shantia's Haven.
Thank you, Nene. I'm happy to be here with you today.
Who is an adolescent? And because the children now really grow. So, please, who is an adolescent?
Biologically, it has been defined. An adolescent has been defined as that human being who is between the age group of 10 to 19.
Okay.
Right? I would like you to know, Shansia, that right there within that group of 10 to 19, there are two other divisions.
Okay.
There is the group from 10 to 12.
Okay.
They are also adolescents.
Okay.
But they have not yet started experiencing some of the bodily, physical and mental and social, psychosocial changes that the others between 13 to 19 have already experienced.
Okay.
So there are actually two divisions in adolescence. But biologically, it is explained that adolescence begins from 10 to 19.
10 to 19. Okay, so now, as a parent, do you have adolescents?
Yes, I have at least 4 adolescents.
At least 4 adolescents?
Yes.
Thank God I'm here to learn.
By the grace of God.
Okay, so with this at least 4 adolescents, I know there is something to do with physical changes. What are some of the physical changes that you experience with your children?
Shansia, I want to be a little bit specific because I have more boys.
Boys?
Yes.
That makes it more interesting.
I have more boys, and with the boys, I started noticing by the time they were 11, I started noticing little pubic hair.
Okay.
I started noticing that they would run away from me when I want to date them because they were actually having some pubic hair and they were feeling uncomfortable about it.
Okay.
I remember one time my son came up to me and asked me if I had a scissors, and I asked him why. What do you want to use the scissors for? And he was like, I want to shave this hair that is coming out, but the hair is becoming too much. I don't like it.
Oh.
So you see, that was one of the most. That was one of the first changes that's one of the first changes that we notice in the boys, in each of the adolescents.
Okay.
In addition to that, we noticed that all of a sudden they were just growing taller. They just started growing taller than we expected.
Okay.
And they started developing their chest muscles grew out, grew up, and then eventually their voices started changing. And with the girls, we noticed that they started having little breasts, It started with the pubic hair too.
Okay.
And then after some time, they'll have little breasts and.
Okay. Thank you, Bernice. Fast forward from adolescent changes, physical changes to now the parent and psychologically. That transition, how was it like for you?
To tell you the truth, Nene, that transition plunged me into some amount of fear.
Okay.
For my very first child, when I noticed that, I was like, I had this reaction. I had this reaction in my mind. It was like, I am already the mother of an adolescent child. So, do I have the ability to raise an adolescent child? Because I've always heard about how difficult adolescence is. Adolescence seems to be that period in one's life that one is fraught with so many decisions to make, so many changes to experience, such that I was asking myself, am I ready to be the mother of an adolescent? Because I don't have the knowledge to put this adolescent child through. I don't know how I'm going to go about it. But to tell you the truth, at a certain point, I decided to be intentional about how to start raising my adolescent children. I chose to be intentional. So
when you talk about being intentional, what do you mean? What did you do as a parent to help you raise them right?
Nene, I started off by reading a lot about adolescence.
Okay.
And then I started applying some of the knowledge I had from school about adolescence.
Okay.
Sometimes I would intentionally go back on my life as an adolescent to find out how I used to handle my own personal situations.
Okay.
Other times I would find a forum where we have more elderly sisters or more elderly parents, so that I could get to interact with them and then get to know how they manage the children. In addition to that, I chose to spend time with them so that I could understand what they are going through as individuals, what the children themselves are going through, and I try to create an open communication line between myself and them so that they'll feel free to tell me what they're going through at every point in time.
So in this creating time, did you gather all your adolescents and talk to them as one person, or each person had their peculiarities?
I had to meet each and every one of them personally because they didn't just get into adolescence together at the same time. The first person went into adolescence, and when I started noticing that he was changing, I had to call him and then talk to him and make him to realize that he's now becoming a man and he's going to notice certain things. I prepared him even for something in adolescence, like something like the wet dream, if you know about it, in adolescence. I took time off to explain to him, you're going to see this one day, and when you do,
please, some parents here are new, they have not yet gotten to that stage of having adolescents, and some are just afraid. When you talk of wet dream, what do you mean, please?
A wet dream happens in a young male. Just at the beginning of adolescence. He goes to bed at night, and by the time he gets up, his panties are wet. And he may feel that he peed on the bed, but he didn't pee. It is semen on his panty. And that is the beginning of adolescence. It is a physical indication.
So when you're telling parents that when you have a child who is going through that, you should, and the child is scared, how can you console? You make the child know it's normal?
Yes. What I did in my case was I called my child, that was before, since I knew that it was going to happen to him. I called him before and I told him, the day you get up and you see this, don't feel uncomfortable. You are changing, you are becoming a man, it is normal. So I just want to encourage parents to prepare themselves for that stage because it will eventually come. And when it does, we should be able to make the children feel comfortable about it. It's about the same with the girl child. With the girl child, we have the menage. That is the onset of menses.
Yes.
Yeah, we should actually. I see a lot of people preparing girl children right now towards that first stage of development in adolescence.
There's something you just said that I think is really important that we emphasize on. You talked about talking to your child before he got to that, because sometimes the children just come when it has already happened, and the parents may neglect it or may not really pay attention to the growth changes in the child. So parents and viewers and the guardians, please, we should talk to these children before they get to this adolescent stage, especially when they are already getting towards that stage. Like we hear that biologically it is generally said adolescence starts from 10 years old. So I think around 10 years, 9-10 years, you should start talking to the children about some of these things and put the men away from the women, that the boys away from the girls, and talk to them individually so that they will feel comfortable, because it's a topic that it's kind of uncomfortable at their age and at their stage of life. There is something I noticed one time with one child. I just suppose that child was in his adolescent age, and this child had this body odor. I think it's something also that comes with adolescence. And so how can you help a boy child, as a mother who has many of these boys, to be clean? Talk to parents, please, because most of your children go to school, or most of them are around, they do smell. I don't know why.
Precisely, Nene, that is part of the biological, it is part of adolescence. It is an integral part of adolescence. It actually has to do with the biological development of that child. It is general, it is a general tendency to have the children, both the boys and the girls, sweat and have odor. So I think basically what we should do is we should help the children to play a top-up game on their hygiene. It is really important that they find out. It is really important that they find out how necessary it is for them to be clean. Clean, what do I mean? The basic. They should be able to brush up 2 times a day. They should be able to bathe 2 times a day. And personally, what I do is I try to get little roll-ons, and I do follow up on daily bathing, brushing, and keeping their rooms and their environment clean. I would like you to know that it's not only at the level of body odor. They are not generally clean during this period. They become disorderly. They become they are not generally neat, especially both ways. They're not generally neat. So you have to be able to be a little bit strict on hygiene. If you are not strict on hygiene, you may discover that you have the whole house stinking, or you may have the whole house feeling very uncomfortable with this sweat and body.
Thank you so much. Dear parents, so if your child, maybe you had a child who used to be neat, and at some stage a child is becoming disorderly and a little bit dirty, and you're getting really stressed out because of that, do not be stressed out, because it could be part of the adolescent experience that a child is facing. And now, if my child, I discover this and I don't even know how to do it, I've talked to the child today, I've tried to follow the child up, and the child continues, and I'm stressed out. What should I do?
To be very truthful with you, I was totally stressed out. I am even actually stressed out up till now. But like I told you, I chose to be intentional. So little by little, I'm putting the stress away, and I'm implementing a strict hygiene timetable. I come around unexpectedly to make sure that you have brushed, you have bathed, your things are orderly. And when I don't find that state of things, if I come there and the things are not like that, I push for you to do it. So instead of getting stressed out and letting the children be, because you don't want to push too much. It's better to implement a hygiene and sanitation timetable and then go about it in a way that will get the children to understand how important it is to be clean. In addition to that, it is very important for you to talk to your child about the impacts of carrying a dirty person around. Yes, the child should understand that if you are not clean, sometimes when you go to talk to your friends, they will not feel comfortable beside you because you have bad breath or you stink, and then eventually they will use you as an example for their small talk and gossip, and then that is going to work on your personality.
Okay, thank you so much, Bernice. There's a whole lot of wisdom I'm getting here from here today. Now there is this aspect I notice with some adolescents. Their moods just change. Some of them just get, it's like they're calling for some attention. I don't know about that. How do you handle it?
And then that is a very pertinent issue.
Okay.
Because besides physical development in adolescents, you also have emotional, psychosocial development of the child, and also the intellectual or cognitive development of that child. The emotional development has got a lot to do with the personality of that child. In fact, I would have you know that in adolescence, that is the period when the child is building his or her personality. And so, biologically, it has been explained that during that period, there are a lot of hormones bumping in and bumping all over the body of our adolescent child. And that is why in 1 minute they are very happy, in 1 minute they are very sad, in 1 minute they are so excited, in 1 minute. You know, they still have, at that stage of adolescence, they still have the sense of the concrete in them. Something is either good or bad, or it's either awesome or awful. So they are just like between those two. If you walk into this room and you're putting on brightly colored clothes and they really like the brightly colored clothes, it is wow for them. But if still putting on those brightly colored clothes, you dare to make a statement that sounds like that doesn't tie with what they believe, almost immediately you are booed. So you realize that as a parent, you need to really understand that that child is going through a lot of emotional emotional pressure.
Okay.
And this emotional pressure, if well managed, will help to build the personality of that child.
Okay.
But if not well managed, will help to pull down the self-esteem of that child. So that is something that is very pertinent. And because some of us don't know about it, we tend to be angry towards the children. We tend to misinterpret their behavior, and then at the end of the day, we have the wrong. We find ourselves with the wrong person. We don't finally get to get the kind of child that we wanted. We like push the child towards another direction that it's not, that wasn't really meant to be.
Okay.
Because of our ignorance. I think that we parents too are ignorant up to a certain extent.
Thank you so much, Bernice. Thank you so much. This is a well of knowledge that we've gotten from here today from you. Like you said from the beginning, that you had to read, you had to seek for knowledge, you had to seek for information concerning raising these adolescents. I implore parents and guardians, please do not just sit back and try to do it your old way. The world is evolving. Maybe you want to read some books on that. Maybe you want to even go online and read some things concerning adolescents. Maybe you want to find some parents who've had children who've passed through that, and you love when you see the outcome of those children. You want to find out how they did it to get there. And maybe you want to go on your knees and pray for your adolescents, because they do need your prayers as well. I don't know what last word you want to tell our viewers, especially our adolescents and their friends.
Dear adolescents, I am a concerned parent. I understand what you go through on a daily basis. And I feel that you need to find time to tell your parents that you're going through this difficulty or that difficulty, and they'll be able to help you out. I also feel that you should realize that what you're going through is really normal. It is part of your growing up process. And so you shouldn't be overtaken by all the emotions that are inside of you or by all the physical changes. I wish to recommend that you accept yourself the way you are, number one. Number two, try to get communication lines open with your parents. Try as much as possible to stay the friends of your parents, because they have first-hand information for you on everything that is happening to you. That's number two. And number three, pray a lot about the situation. Thank you.
You're welcome. So, adolescents who are watching, you got it from her. Parents who are watching, you can get it and also talk to your adolescents about that. Thank you so much, Bernice.
Thank you, Nene.
Remember that on Chancellor's Haven, we always leave it better than we met it. See you some other time on Chancellor's Haven. Bye-bye.